What is going on, Terminator fans? I am your host, Grindhouse Grotto. Welcome back to my channel. If you are new to my channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button for amazing future content. Today I want to continue my discussion on Terminator 6 Dark Fate. What I want to look at is Arnold's character as the Terminator in this upcoming film. There has been some rumors floating around, some different ideas about Arnold's role in this movie. Currently, he's listed on IMDb as the Terminator. James Cameron has done an interview where he basically said that Arnold's going to be returning to the role as a bad Terminator in this movie, which doesn't necessarily rule out the idea of him being a good Terminator as well, or a good character. So let's talk about these different theories. I'm really fascinated by this. I've been hearing all kinds of things in my comment section, and I'll be the first to tell you. I've never read the books. I've never read the comics. I've just strictly watched the films. So a lot of people have been basing these theories off of novels and comics and stuff like that, or just kind of putting things together. TerminatorFans.com has given their idea a couple years ago. They came up with a theory, and it's kind of resurfacing. So this theory that's been floating around, there's a couple theories. There's one theory that says that Arnold's role in this movie is going to be a human role, along with being a Terminator, and it's going to be based off the novel Infiltrator. And there's a 3-book series that came out. There's Infiltrator, what's the name of the other one? Rising Storm, and The Future War. So these are 3 books that came out, and it's pretty interesting that James Cameron and Tim Miller want to make this movie, they want to make this film part of a 3-film trilogy. So I feel like that's the biggest evidence to this point of a possible trilogy could be based off these books. Like I said, I've never read the books before, so I don't really know too much about them. But the reason why these books are gaining momentum and people feel like that it could be a real possibility that they're basing it off these books is because in this novel, The Infiltrator, there is a human character named Dieter. Correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm pronouncing it wrong. Dieter's character is basically a counterterrorism expert. He's working against the CIA, so the CIA operatives are out looking for him, and he knows of the existence of remnants of Skynet. Okay, so Sarah and John, as you know, they destroyed Cyberdyne systems. Miles Dyson died. They threw the arm into the molten steel, and Arnold, Uncle Bob, was lowered down into the molten steel, and presumably the future was changed. In this novel, there's still remnants of Skynet in existence. They weren't able to completely wipe out Skynet from existence. Essentially what they did was they postponed the events of Judgment Day to a later date. And in this film we see a human character that's Arnold playing the human character that the Terminators are based off of. And his name is Dieter, and he knows of the whereabouts, the remnants of Skynet, and Sarah and John basically team up with Dieter's character, and they go after the remnants of Skynet. They want to completely wipe out Skynet from existence. Very, very fascinating story there. Very fascinating possibility for this new film. The reason why I think this book series is gaining momentum and people really believe that this is what the movie could be based off of is because there is a antagonist in this film that is the I-950. And it is a female infiltrator character, which is very interesting because we have, Grace, who's been casted, and her role we don't know yet, but we've seen pictures where she's got some scars on her chest, and she looks like she's been operated on, or could be like a human Terminator hybrid or of some sorts. So a lot of people are speculating that she is in fact the I-950 infiltrator from this book series, and Arnold is going to be playing a human character in this movie, as well as playing a Terminator in the film as well, because we know that he has been casted as the Terminator on IMDb. So what are your thoughts on that theory, guys? My personal thoughts on it, I think it's very interesting. Like I said, I've never read the book series, so I'm going to go ahead and start reading some of them and checking the books out, and I want to start reading the comics. I'm definitely fascinated by that story. We'll see. I think that they could base it off the novels and maybe modify some things a little bit, because in this book series, from what I read, John Connor's character plays a greater portion of the movie, and I just don't know how they could make a CGI young John Connor like we saw in Terminator 2 for a huge chunk of the movie. I mean, they could, but I feel like just having John Connor as a CGI character for the majority of the movie would be really silly. And then it wouldn't really explain anything because, you know, Linda Hamilton's back and she's 60 years old. So why would they have a young John Connor throughout the film? So he would only have to exist he would only be able to exist in flashbacks. So yeah, I think that they could use a story, but I think they would modify it a little bit. Now, the second theory floating around is that Arnold is basically going to play another bad T-800 Terminator that was sent back to 1984 during the time of, you know, the first movie. And so that instead of them sending back just the first Terminator, they sent back a second Terminator as well. And the second Terminator's objective was to kind of lie in wait. And he wasn't going to be activated. He was just going to kind of sit around and wait for the events of Judgment Day to play out. And Skynet's role in sending back this Terminator, the second Terminator, was kind of a fallback plan in the event that something happened that kind of prevented Judgment Day from happening, or if, you know, if somehow they were able to stop Judgment Day, this Terminator would be there, and they would always have a fallback plan. There would always be remnants of Skynet in the current timeline. So basically, Skynet would be inevitable as long as there was the Terminator that was in existence. And that would be the Terminator's objective, was just kind of lie in wait. And what they're saying is, at some point in time, after the events of Terminator 2, you know, we see how the end of the movie played out, and then we see, you know, Sarah and John riding off into the darkness, and the future's unknown. There could be a scene in this new movie where this Terminator becomes active and then kills John Connor. And that would explain why there's a young John Connor been casted, a young Arnold's character, T-800, Brett Azar is returning to play him. And this new Terminator's objective is now, once it becomes active, is to kill John and Sarah because they have changed the events of the previous timeline. I hope that all made sense, guys. I'm not the best at explaining things, but that to me is more interesting than, in my opinion. Now, I know there's a lot of people that are a fan of the book series, and I'm not hating on the book series, but to me, I kind of like that story a little bit better. I would much rather them start a whole new story and, you know, see some flashback scenes of Arnold as a different Terminator, and then see like a really dramatic conclusion to John Connor's character. I talked about it yesterday in my previous video where I talked about John Connor potentially dying in this movie, or, you know, being written out somehow. And I feel like Arnold's character could come full circle if he actually succeeded and killed John Connor. That would be phenomenal to see on screen. I feel like it'd be a really emotional scene, and would bring Sarah's character a lot of it would be a good starting point for Sarah's character in this new movie. She would be, you know, very, very distraught, very emotionally scarred, and it would give her some perspective in this new movie. It would give her like kind of like a reason to be this badass that we've heard about from James Cameron. Okay, if she knew that a Terminator came back and killed John Connor, it would give her all the more reason to be, you know, this ruthless badass that James Cameron has talked about in these interviews. So I feel like that is the more appropriate theory that's been out there. There's been all kinds of theories floating around, and I'm kind of really just wanting to hear people's ideas. And in the comment section, guys, let me know what your thoughts are in these different theories, and if you've heard any other theories about Arnold's character. I'm really fascinated to kind of learn more about it, and that's kind of why I did this video today, guys. Well, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this little brief video about the different theories that have been floating around. I may not be the best at explaining them, but I wanted to kind of put this video out there and get some feedback and hear from everybody, and hear what your thoughts are in this new film and Arnold's character. I'm very fascinated by it. One thing I do want to end this video with is I am super excited to see if they do in fact, you know, recreate some scene with this new Terminator in 1984. And, you know, we see Arnold's arrival as this new Terminator. I am really excited for that, guys. I thought they did that recreation of Terminator, beginning of Terminator 1, really good in Terminator Genesis. That's about the only positive thing I can say about Terminator Genesis, is I really like that opening sequence where we saw, Arnold's T-800 being sent from the future. So that was the first point in time we'd ever seen Arnold, in the future Arnold, before he was actually sent to 1984. And then we saw him arriving in 1984. I thought that was really cool. So if they kind of wanted to do a scene like that, maybe not show that whole sequence, but do another arrival of this other Terminator and kind of explain what he did before he went into hiding until Terminator 2, I think that'd be really cool. I've always enjoyed that aspect of the movies. But anyways, guys, thought I would share my thoughts on that. Hope everybody enjoyed this video. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. As always, drop me a comment in the comment section and let me know what your thoughts are on this topic. Arnold's character, like I said, what theory do you believe is true? Do you believe the infiltrator theory? Do you believe the theory that was created by TerminatorFans.com? Have you heard other theories? I'm really curious to know what everybody's thoughts are on this and what you would like to see in this future film. Alright guys, as always, please subscribe to my channel for future content. I appreciate all support. Stay tuned for the next video, guys. Take it easy.